You like invisible interview.
The invisible interview. Anonymous person X is interviewing anonymous person Y while the kitchen considers. In the background, we have the fan humming, which is probably not great since our acoustic system is not quite up to industry news reporting quality. But here we have the kitchen speaking.
Everything you're hearing has been overdubbed after the fact, which might explain why the movement of my lips does not match the sound of what you hear.
So Niels was considering, I asked him, well, what was your highlight of the weekend? Because Niels's participation in the folk festival is different than mine because he's an active member of the board, the volunteer board that oversees the direction of the folk festival. And I am a vendor of intricate and magical things which I sell at a tent that I create especially for that folk festival. So, okay, anonymous interviewee. I see. You prefer to get my knee, do you? Okay. Uh-oh, but I thought that you were the one telling the story.
Well, we'll go back and forth.
All right.
This is like one of these TV style things of like an interview or something.
Okay. So tell me, not quite. Oh, you're still anonymous interviewee. Speaking as a person who has an interest and even the power to influence in any way the direction of the folk festival. What were the highlights for you this year?
Da, 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 da.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Whoops. The highlights are almost too many to mention, but I can try.
All right.
From the perspective of being on the board,
Right. Which is certainly not the only perspective.
by no means the only perspective, but from that perspective, because I feel connected to the festival on a year-round basis by attending, at least monthly and oftentimes more than once a month board meetings,
Right.
and through serving on various subcommittees of the board that keeps me involved in a very active way year-round, and as is the case with the staff. And so I know that when the weekend actually comes, there's many times when I fall into relating to it strictly from the perspective of an audience goer, where I'll just get excited about a particular artist that's on a particular stage at a particular time, and I'll go there and just forget where I am and dance and enjoy what's going on and like that. But a lot of the times I find myself walking around and kind of wanting to view the whole thing from various perspectives and engage people in conversation about what type of weekend they're having, and try on some level as it's happening to have a certain kind of overview imagery of it that I'm taking in and trying to get a sense of sort of what's working or not working, and how we're doing as a festival, right? So that in the inevitable debrief that happens, that I actually can have something to bring to the table. And so I would say that it makes me a frustrating person to try and hang out with at the film festival.
Because your hats keep changing.
And also because I want to sort of keep moving in a sense. I don't just want to be too stationary for too long. I like to, for example, when the evening main stage concerts are happening, I'll roam from the front where the people are dancing to what it looks like from the disabled person's area to the very back of the field, so I can see all of the people and the moon rising over the stage and kind of take it all in that way. And I might even during a set sort of roam around backstage and sort of say hi to the stage manager and find out how things are going back there.
Yeah.
And
Let's see what the speakers sound like from all different
yeah,
locations.
yeah, and really have a sense of taking the whole thing in. So in terms of actual highlights, though, I feel a lot of times it's the little things. And, just one micro highlight for me was on Sunday evening when Michael Franti and Spearhead were playing and the sun had just set and there was a very jubilant and festive energy in
Which
the
night
air.
was that?
Sunday night.
Oh yeah, the last night of the festival, the magic night.
And towards the back, sort of behind the main crush of people dancing and jumping and singing and everything, is more a kind of family area. And to see people who I knew, who were my friends, who have children who are maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years old, and the kids are dancing and jumping up and down, and they've got their glow-in-the-dark hula hoops, and it's a very festive thing. And
magic time, man.
And you see the stage.
Feels very safe, and
the moon, and the city in the distance, and the mountains, and the ocean, and you really just think to yourself, how much better than this could it get?
Yeah. And again, the location of that power spot, because on Jericho Beach there, where the festival is, you look one way, you can see almost the horizon. It's the open harbor. You see the sea. You look to your right, you see the inner harbor, which is now the Vancouver skyline, which always looks great at sunset. You look straight across and you see the North Shore. Across the water you see the North Shore Mountains. And they still got some snow, even though now this is getting towards the end of July. But there's still some patches of snow left, from the skiing season. So there you feel like you can see time past and time present and time future in this power spot.
I have one other highlight to share.
Oh, good.
And it's not what you might think, because at festivals, music festivals, certainly you would expect the highlights typically to be related to the music, because ultimately that's the main thing bringing people there. But a lot of times it's more the little human moments that happen.
Yeah, right.
And I am a person who is kind of traditional, and so there's some things that I like to do every year when I'm at the Vancouver Folk Music Festival.
Right.
And one of them is I like to go get dinner at a place that is in the food vending area.
Oh, yeah.
That serves Thai food. And it's run by a family. The husband or the father in the family is born in Canada, and the mother or the wife in the family is from Thailand. And they used to have a Thai restaurant in Maple Ridge.
Oh, yeah.
And they were very happy there, but year after year the rent went up, and they just sort of at one point decided to take a leap of faith and close the fixed location of the restaurant and just sort of serve food at the festival circuit.
Yeah, not an easy decision, no doubt.
And one of their 2 sons is got Down syndrome, and his name is Merv. And Merv is always there, and he's always smiling, and every year it's like, hey, Swervin' Mervin! And I think a lot of people who've been coming year after year after year have gotten to know Merv, and his family too. I mean, the father, Murray, is just such a charming guy, and he's always smiling, and they always make you feel like you just seen him yesterday. And so on the first night I went there for a dinner, and it was sort of near to the end of the day, and Murray, the father, the husband in the family, said, hey, I got a story to tell you, and you of all people are really going to appreciate this story.
Right.
And he came around from outside the back of his booth, and he said, we've been coming to this festival for 8 years, and Mervyn has grown up here, and and everybody is always so kind and nice to him. And one of the people that he's gotten to know over the years is this gal, and I forget her name, maybe it was Melissa or something. And Melissa has Down syndrome as well, but she's a little older than Merv, and she's more like 20, and Merv's more like 12. And I don't know, I mean, it was either chocolate milk or maybe he's getting a little mustache, but Merv is starting to kind of turn into a little guy there,
Wow.
So anyways, Murray starts to tell me the story about how this other gal who has Down syndrome came and was hanging out for a little while, and she was talking with Mervyn because they've made a friendship over the years. And she's at one point said, "Hey, Mervyn, let's go look around. Come on, I want to show you what's going on out there."
Right on.
Because all these years, Merv has stayed stationed at the Thai food booth with his mother and father who are running the booth.
Imagine.
And they've never let him go out there.
Because the food place is kind of in a separate area from where the tents are. The 7 main tents are where music is happening. You can hear the music, and you'll hear people chattering about it, but so far, Merv's never been allowed out there.
Exactly. And so Merv was keen, and he went to his dad, and he said, "Hey, Dad, Melissa wants to, I really want to go." And at this point of telling the story, tears start streaming down Murray's face. And he was really getting this need.
My God, isn't that beautiful?
I only see Murray once a year, but he's talking to me like he's my best friend.
Right.
He's really opening his heart because he's just had this experience of letting his son go out of the nest for the first time. Because he says, we've never let Merv go out into something like this on his own.
Wow.
And that was the first time.
And because for one reason, it's the safest environment in the world. That's the feeling you get. There's people here, there's 10,000 people here, they're all happy. They want to feel happy, and they want to feel that happiness connecting with someone else there. That's what's so special about the atmosphere of this folk festival on this magical beach.
It is truly unique, I feel.
Yeah.
And on the grounds of the festival, there is no professional security company.
And that's remarkable. You think here's 10,000 people out all day in the hot sun and then into the cool of the beautiful moonlit evening. And there's no guys with four-wheelers and walkie-talkies and large utensils buzzing about in the background.
There is a crew that is called safety that performs the function of security, but they have a very unintimidating presence.
And anybody can be one, right?
And exactly, almost anyone can be one. It's like one of the departments of the volunteer crew. And it just sets such a tone of getting along that is really incredible. And so, just to say, this story that Murray shared, where now I'm hugging this guy
who's crying. God.
On the, like maybe an hour after he's had the experience of letting his son sort of fly out of the nest for the first time.
Yeah.
And it was a really positive experience. And he wanted to share it with me because he saw I was wearing a board member thing, and he wanted to sort of let me know as a representative of the festival how special it was for him and his family to be here. So that's a very long story.
It's a beautiful story, really nice. That sums up as much as anything can. What is it that's good? Why do you like this Vancouver Folk Festival, and there's stories like that? As a seller, I meet people every year and interact with them, and in some cases learn little bits about their life and history, so that I will probably remember, did you sell your house, or something like that.
Sometimes they even bring you dinner.
And sometimes they even bring me dinner. There's one wonderful girl who I've only met there, Daisy, who is an Oriental girl, I think, from Taiwan, but I know she'll be offended that I don't know. But anyway, I only meet her there, and she's always interested in buying tribal silver, old amulets and things like that. And but the first year I met her, she asked me what it was like to be here, and I said, "Oh, it was wonderful. I never get a chance to experience being in a crowd with this energy for 3 days." But one difficulty is there's no toilets, and another is you can't eat, actually. Just dry food you bring with you, And sure enough, you can get nutrition. Bring some nuts and bring some cookie-like things, organic. bring some fruit even, but somehow it's just not the same as having a meal that somebody makes for you, you know, or even being able to cook. So she then, from that year on, every year, usually Saturday night, brings me a plate of food that she made, specially. And it's always immaculate and always delicious, and I'm always very grateful.
I was going to say, and she brings you a porta potty.
No, that'll be next year, maybe.
That's coming.
Yeah.
Daisy, if you're listening, next year we want more than dinner.
Yeah.
A porta potty.
And then there's this couple of sisters both of whom I call Rosemary because they're sisters and they look quite similar, a few different ages, a few years apart. And the one who, the older sister, sells bundles of rosemary herbs as a kind of like sage. What do you call that when you burn it at a fire circle?
A smudge.
Yeah, as a smudge, rosemary smudge. And so that's why I always call her Rosemary.
This is my sister Rosemary.
Yeah.
This is my other sister Rosemary.
But I also call her sister Rosemary because she looks like her. And she's a great cook, and she always brings me a cookie, and it's always delicious. So, those gals always have a couple of friends with them, and they set up a little booth. They dress like Mad Hatters, kind of. Just free-spirited with hats and scarves galore. And they just set up a little blanket so Rosemary can sell rosemary.
This edition of Zen Voodoo Brotherhood has been brought to you by Rosemary and Rosemary's Rosemary Smudge Factory.
Good evening. A very gentle one.